This is the Husker Rundown. I am Connor O'Gara. High atop Memorial Stadium after Nebraska gets a 35-14 victory against Purdue. Huskers came out today and really were in control throughout. I thought a couple of possessions here and there that they definitely would have liked to have back, but able to win this game relatively comfortably. But the big question afterwards, of course, was Amir Abdullah left this game early with a sprained MCL. That's what the diagnosis was. He's kind of going to be a day-to-day, week-by-week basis. Bo seemed confident that he's going to be back for the Wisconsin game. Said he was optimistic that he'll be able to play. Of course, you never know what exactly that means. Luckily for the Huskers, they have a bye week, so Amir will get plenty of time to prepare for that one. But I thought it was really interesting that you got to see what Nebraska was like without Amir. That's a question that I've asked myself countless times throughout the season, is what's going to happen if this team has to go through one of those big injuries? How's that offensive line going to respond? How's Amani Cross going to be as a feature back? What's Darrell Newby going to be able to do? Is Tommy Armstrong going to be able to kind of be the guy on offense? And I thought a lot of those questions were answered in this one. And yeah, you look against the competition and you say, all right, Purdue, you're going to see a lot better defenses later on. But at the same time, I thought it was important for those guys to be put in roles like that where you don't have a Heisman Trophy candidate to rely on, because there are going to be teams that are going to isolate him. And actually, before Amir went out, I thought Purdue did a great job isolating him. Amir only gets 1 yard rushing in this one, 6 attempts, and really was not a focal point of the offense early on. It just seemed like he was having a tough time getting past the line of scrimmage. He just wasn't given those holes, and it seemed like Purdue wanted to load the box, made it a point to stop him, was putting a lot of those 8-man fronts in, and Amir just kind of had a tough time getting going. If he had played a full game, yeah, he probably busts a few open, but credit Purdue for coming out and really taking it to a guy that has been dominant this season, absolutely dominant. And for him to be out, you got to see what Amani Cross, not necessarily, he just doesn't have that go-to power or speed that makes him a feature back, but at the same time, he was serviceable, got in the end zone a couple times. But I thought the alarming thing was Tommy Armstrong's passing. I've said it repeatedly that I don't think he's an accurate passer. He's going to make a few of those plays every single game that just make you scratch your head and wonder what in the world he's looking at. And I thought it was a little bit, I guess interesting to hear Bo say that the two routes that resulted in interceptions were actually missed routes, and that it was the receiver's fault on that. It wasn't Tommy's fault. We don't know that as media definitively. That could just be Bo coming out and saying that. It was obviously a miscommunication somewhere along the lines, but are you going to come out and want to defend your starting quarterback? Yeah. You're not going to throw him under the bus and say, yeah, he's just horrible throw. He's got to get better. But he looked really bad on those throws, and they weren't even close, and it was definitely a miscommunication. I think the second one was even tipped a little bit. But just not the best day for Tommy Armstrong throwing the football. Still was able to have a nice day rushing. You saw what he's capable of when he gets in the open field on the ground. He's as good and as mobile as they come when you're talking about mobile quarterbacks, especially in the Big Ten. So, credit Nebraska for still finding a way to put up 35 points without their stud. Without Amir Abdullah, this offense not going to be able to compete with some of the best in the Big Ten. Not going to be able to sustain drives. A lot of 3-and-outs in this one. Just didn't seem like the offense was ever on a roll, per se. But credit the Blackshirts for showing up in this one. Yeah, Purdue's offense, not very good. Austin Appleby at quarterback, made some nice plays, made some nice throws. But, you look at his numbers, and he was 18 of 46 with 2 interceptions in this one. They were able to get to him twice, too, sacked him, and just did not play a game that you would say, oh yeah, we're proud of our quarterback's performance against a defense that's kind of struggled to stop the pass. And Purdue was in passing situations a lot of this game. Weren't really able to get the ground game going. Was kind of behind for most of this game and was going to be throwing a lot of the time. So Nebraska, the Blackshirts really keyed in on the fact that this was going to be a one-dimensional offense moving forward. There were plenty of, I don't even know how many 3-and-outs there were in this one, but there were as many 3-and-outs in this game, I felt, for the Nebraska defense as I've ever seen in an individual game. So it's kind of rare to hear Bo Pelini actually compliment the defense afterwards and say, I was was pretty satisfied. I thought they did a good job. Thought they showed good signs of improvement from last week. Whereas last week he was just not happy. He was talked about the blown coverages. He talked about missed tackles. He talked about just miscommunications all around on the defense, and you really didn't see that as much today. And I thought it was important for the Nebraska defense to get a little bit of momentum going into what is going to be an absolute dogfight up at Camp Randall Stadium. People that are overlooking that game at Wisconsin saying, yeah, Wisconsin's down a little bit this year. Well, they're obviously forgetting about Melvin Gordon because he is as good as it gets in the country. Not too many backs that Nebraska's going to see that are going to have talent like a Melvin Gordon. So that's of course what everybody was talking about after the game. How do you stop a talented tailback, a guy that can take over in any given game? But luckily for Nebraska, 2 weeks to prepare for that, and I think they're definitely going to need it. Got some guys kind of banged up. Amir walked through the media area afterwards and actually had a little bit of a limp, but didn't, for whatever it's worth, didn't look like he was keeled over in pain or walking out with a boot or anything like that. I know you don't do that for a knee, but was in good spirits. So take that for what it is. Wouldn't be surprised to see him back in action. Obviously, such a big game for Nebraska and Big Ten title hopes. Got 3 games left, 2 on the road, of course. You got Wisconsin coming up in 2 weeks, and then you get to come home again and host Minnesota in the regular season home finale, and then you get to go to Iowa, City and take on the Hawkeyes. So that, I think, will be an interesting one. I don't think there's any gimmies the rest of the way. Mike Moody talked about the fact that this is a team that really got blessed by the schedule this year to have kind of the schedule was kind of broken up into 3-game segments, and now you get 2 weeks to prepare for a Wisconsin team that is going to be able to put up some points. It's going to be a really good test for the Nebraska defense. If they can win a game like this, man, the road is paved, I think, to the Big Ten championship. So, maybe I'm changing my stance a little bit. Maybe I'm giving this team a little bit more credit than I was early on, but a lot of positive signs. Of course, the all-important thing, the health of Amir Abdullah. If he's able to go 100% in this Wisconsin game and able to make a full recovery, maybe this offense gets a little bit more momentum going. Tommy Armstrong settles down and is the guy that Nebraska needs him to be for the rest of the way. So only one more time that I'll be seeing you guys this year for the Husker Rundown. But as always, I'll see you guys, 3, 4 weeks? Yeah, 3 weeks, I guess. I'll see you guys for the last time this season against Minnesota. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.